Imagine stepping into a 3,000-year-old time capsule and realizing it was locked to the world for more than 2 decades. That's what just happened in Luxor, Egypt. After over 20 years of painstaking work, the tomb of Pharaoh Amenhotep III has reopened to visitors, an ancient landmark coming back to life in our lifetime. Who was Amenhotep III? Think of him as the ultimate soft power pharaoh. He ruled for close to 4 decades during Egypt's 18th dynasty, a stretch of wealth, diplomacy, and artistic brilliance. While other rulers are remembered for campaigns and conquests, Amenhotep III is remembered for building, beautifying, and managing a thriving empire through alliances and prestige. His court set the tone for what many people picture when they imagine Golden Age Egypt. Now, where exactly is his tomb? It's carved into the desert cliffs on the west bank of the Nile, across from today's Luxor, in the legendary Valley of the Kings, the royal burial ground that also holds Tutankhamun and other heavyweights of the New Kingdom. For years, this site was closed as conservators stabilized the rock, studied the walls, and planned how to let the public back in without risking the very thing they came to see. Let's walk in, mentally. The entrance slopes down and keeps going, a 118-foot passage that drops about 45 feet underground. That's roughly the length of 2 semi-trailers parked end to end, and almost a 4-story building deep. At the bottom, you reach the main burial chamber, and branching off, 2 additional chambers designed for Amenhotep's queens, Tai and Sitamun. It's a layout that tells you everything about royal status and family in a single glance. Here's something most people don't expect. Unlike a few neighboring tombs that are packed edge to edge with imagery, Amenhotep III's tomb isn't fully decorated. What you do see, though, is powerful scenes of the king with Egyptian deities and inscriptions from the Book of the Dead, the spiritual roadmap intended to guide a soul through the afterlife. The mix feels intimate rather than overwhelming, which actually makes the surviving art hit harder. So why did this take more than 20 years? Because conservation isn't just cleaning, it's surgery. Over centuries, the tomb suffered flooding, salt crystallization, human interference, and the constant pressure of time. The modern restoration unfolded in phases, led by Japanese experts alongside Egyptian authorities, with support also attributed to UNESCO, an international team balancing science and respect for the site's spirit. That multi-year, multinational approach is exactly why the door could open again in 2025, and the backstory gets even more dramatic. The tomb was first recorded at the end of the 18th century. Napoleon-era explorers noted it in 1799, and like so many ancient sites, it was looted long before archaeology became a discipline. Much of its original grave goods vanished into private collections or far-flung museums. Egyptian antiquities officials say even the sarcophagus was taken. What remains in the burial chamber includes the frame for the sarcophagus, with the lid positioned where it would have been, an eerie, poignant reminder of both loss and endurance. What about the pharaoh himself? Amenhotep III's mummy didn't stay here. In antiquity, priests moved several royal mummies to safer caches to protect them from tomb robbers. His remains ended up in the tomb of his grandfather, Amenhotep II. Today, the damaged mummy is displayed in Cairo's National Museum of Egyptian Civilization, part of a curated lineup of royal mummies that gives visitors a face-to-face moment with history. When you hear reopening, don't just picture a new lock on an old door. The team improved visitor infrastructure, safer steps, better lighting, and clear interpretation, so people can experience the tomb without harming it. That balance between access and preservation is the holy grail of heritage work, and it's increasingly sophisticated at Egypt's flagship sites. Timing matters too. The reopening of Amenhotep III's tomb landed just weeks before the planned inauguration of the Grand Egyptian Museum near the Giza Pyramids, Egypt's long-awaited next-generation showcase for pharaonic art and ritual. In other words, Egypt is rolling out a coordinated cultural moment, one aimed at both pride at home and wonder abroad. For travelers, this is an irresistible double punch: the theatrical majesty of Luxor in the south, and a brand new museum experience up north in Giza. For Egypt, it's also strategy. Tourism is a major engine of jobs and foreign currency, and it took a heavy hit after the upheavals of 2011. Reopening world-class sites safely, sustainably, and with global partners signals that Egypt's ancient treasures are open for study and for awe again. Let's zoom out and appreciate the person behind the tomb for a minute. Amenhotep III, sometimes called Amenhotep the Great, was a master of image and influence. He commissioned colossal projects that still define Luxor's skyline. If you've seen the Colossi of Memnon, those two towering seated figures guarding the desert road, you've seen the fingerprints of his reign. He married diplomacy with spectacle, forging ties through royal marriages and gifts that crisscrossed the Bronze Age world. While his son Akhenaten would later revolutionize Egyptian religion and art in dramatic ways, the stage for that cultural experimentation was set by Amenhotep III's prosperity and taste. Back in the tomb, the art that survives feels curated by time. The moments with the gods, the funerary texts, these aren't just paintings on a wall. They're the blueprint of a worldview, order over chaos, the promise that a well-lived life could continue in harmony with the divine. Even stripped of many of its original treasures, the space still holds its charge. You feel it in the quiet, in the measured slope of the corridor, in the way the air cools as you descend. There's also a modern morality tale in here about heritage. 19th century collecting scattered Egyptian artifacts around the globe. Today's restorations, by contrast, are about stabilizing what's in place and telling a fuller story, one that acknowledges loss but invests in what remains. The collaboration between Egyptian conservators, international scientists, and organizations like UNESCO isn't just logistics, it's a statement about shared responsibility for human history. And the details reward a close look. The Book of the Dead passages in the burial chamber, they're more than mystical poetry. They're practical guideposts for a soul on a perilous journey. The side chambers for Te and Sitamun, they underscore how royal women were integrated into the architecture of power and the architecture of eternity. Even the long, sloping entry serves a purpose, transitioning you step by step from sunlight to the realm of the hidden, from the living world into the logic of the afterlife. If you're planning a future trip, a quick mindset tip: treat these sites less like theme parks and more like libraries carved in stone. The new lighting helps you notice fine lines in the paint. The safer stairs focus your attention on the story, not your footing. And the interpretive signs, done right, turn that story from legend into something you can actually follow, room by room. In the end, the reopening of Amenhotep III's tomb isn't just about tourism. It's about continuity between a king who believed his memory could be built in rock and a present that still has the skills, patience, and will to keep that memory intact. It's about the patience of conservators who spend months treating a single square foot of pigment. And it's about the quiet thrill of seeing a door that's been closed for 20 years swing open again. If this journey through ancient Egypt sparked your curiosity, you know what to do. Tap like, so more people find this story. Subscribe for deep dive history told in plain English. And before you go, queue up our next video on how the Grand Egyptian Museum plans to transform the way we experience pharaonic art. I'll see you there.